So this slide shows some pictures of my maternal and paternal great-grandparents and grandparents. So I identify as fourth generation Mexican American from my father's side and Mexican American, Italian American on my mother's side. My mother's name is Diane Greco Castanon and my father's name is Rudy Cortez Castanon. My mom was born in Fresno, California, and my dad was born in Kerman, California. So I like to say I have a little bit of city and a little bit of country roots. I was born on August 10th, 1995, and I was the firstborn to my parents. My mom was 28 and my dad was 31 when they had me, so I fit the characteristics of being the oldest child as far as being responsible, being mature, but also as being raised by older parents too. I felt like I was pretty responsible from an early age. My parents bought their first house in 1998 in the Central Unified School District area, really close to Central High. At the time, my parents were or had been working, my mom for Save Mart and my dad for a company called Rock 10 Corrugated, which later became West Rock, and they have worked for the same companies for 20 plus years. So like I said, I grew up in the Central Unified School District area. I loved the schools for the diversity. I loved growing up in the neighborhood in very close proximity to the schools. I did bus to middle school because I was on an intra-district transfer, and the reason for that was my mom had visited my other middle school in our boundaries and thought it would have a negative influence on my education. So besides Fresno, I felt like these three small towns also raised me. Five Points, Kerman, and Riverdale. These are the areas where my great-grandparents lived, or my uncles and aunts and cousins, and just somehow found myself back in these small little communities. They're definitely different than Fresno, but I appreciated its own diversity. So here are some photos from my kindergarten experience. At the time, my elementary school was K through 8. And my parents also got to volunteer quite a lot in the classroom. So my favorite teacher of all time was Mrs. Coogan Baker, my kindergarten teacher. She pushed her students to do their best, and at times that required a little bit of tough love, but I think overall she cared deeply for her students. I even invited her to my high school graduation to grow a little bit out of my comfort zone and wanted to volunteer in the community. So I got involved with Hands On Central California and their Summer of Service projects, both my summer before freshman year and sophomore year. I also did mock trial as a freshman, but mock trial introduced me to Junior State of America. Didn't have to do with mock trial, but many of the people in our program also participated in JSA. I felt very privileged and honored to represent the Central Valley region on multiple occasions, and as the mayor in my last year of high school, I loved learning about different issues that were important to various parts of the states, to our citizens that reside in the Central Valley. But I also learned about the inequities in education, learning that some of my peers at other schools in Northern California were far advanced and were far more ready for college than I would be. So my cousin Patrick, he's my dad's nephew, he was the first one in my immediate family to attend a four-year university or college. He graduated from UC Santa Cruz when I was a sophomore in high school, and I started to ask him questions about how I should get ready and prepare for college after high school. I graduated as a valedictorian. I was definitely looking forward to the opportunity to move outside of Fresno, but I guess there were other plans. I really wanted to go to UC Berkeley after attending a series of workshops aimed towards ethnic minorities from the Central Valley and from other regions across the state. However, I didn't know how my family or I would support this pricey education at the UC system. I was an alternate on the list for the Smith Camp Scholarship at Fresno State, and after taking some more time to consider what the scholarship would offer me, I decided to attend Fresno State a little reluctantly. But I had some great moments as a SMITty, is what they call us, because SMIT camp really was its own culture within the university. I attended high school with 3 other of the entering class of 2013 SMIT camp scholars. Beyond that, and beyond learning about the traditions at Fresno State and the prestige that SMIT camp name held in the community, I also was learning how to code switch among different peers. Many of my peers were white, were from households that had college education, and many were also very determined about pursuing doctoral degrees by the time they were done with their 4 years of undergraduate, and I was not. However, I did find a home within the Richter Center at Fresno State. Many of my fellow leaders felt like family members. There was a community of people who had a heart to serve Fresno and a heart to serve other Fresno State students. And I can't tell you the amount of times where I would walk out of a meeting or leave an event just feeling so reinvigorated by the community and the spirit of service that we all had in common. I also loved my major in mass communication and journalism with an emphasis in public relations. It allowed me different internship opportunities, networking opportunities, student assistant work, student writer work, and I got to publish a lot, film a lot, and tweet a lot. But I think something I was really excited to do was to blend my love for service and service learning with storytelling, and got to be a part of a documentary team. The documentary was never completed, but we did get a lot of good footage, and I learned some new skills. So I graduated in May of 2017, and I again was at a crossroads where do I go after this? I knew I had dog days to look forward to as a student coordinator. And in dog days, this is where I confirmed my, I think, passion for serving students and for educating myself on like what higher ed looks like. I didn't go to an orientation myself because I was a SMIT camp student, and I just wanted to know what the average student kind of experiences when they enter the university and to help future first-gen students. After my summer with Dog Days, I started a 1-year fellowship with AmeriCorps, serving at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central California, and I learned about volunteer infrastructure, program budgets, and I learned how to recruit and train volunteers as well. And I was very much invested in the time that I served there. And I was a little reluctant to apply to my master's degree in HEAL, but I'm so glad that I did. I have a new family of scholars that I get to experience this journey with. I have continued my involvement in other leadership capacities. I have taken new steps to becoming a leader in the Central Valley as well, with my position at Every Neighborhood Partnership as the coordinator for Read Fresno. I now get to pour into and develop student leaders in Fresno Unified, or who are serving Fresno Unified students in after-school programs and in classroom one-on-one settings. And so I'm super thankful that I'm able to provide this kind of opportunity to college students. And I am glad to be back with EMP, where I was a volunteer for a significant amount of time as an undergraduate student. So in the future, I hope to find a career in the Valley at a 2 or 4-year institution in the areas of orientation and transition and retention, or community engagement and service learning. I would like to possibly coordinate family programs and develop new student and community leaders for the Valley. And then maybe, just maybe, I'll go back to the nonprofit world and hope to make a difference in whatever capacity that I'm being called into.